couldn't stop wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggle, 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 wiggle. Hi, and thanks for tuning in to another episode of Q and Answers. My name is Q Manning, and I'm the general manager and founder of Rocksaw Studios. On today's episode, we're going to chat about why does ugly design sometimes work better. As we know, designers in general like to make beautiful things. Posters, websites, mobile applications, business cards, logos, whatever you can think of. Designers want to make things that they're proud of, that they can show off to other designers and say, hey, I did that. And in general, consumers like to buy pretty products, so it all works out okay. But there is a lot of ugly out there, right? Not all websites are beautiful. Not all mobile applications are gorgeous. When you go and look at the shelf at Walmart, not all the packaging is amazing. By default, our initial reaction is going to be, well, that creative director just didn't know what they were doing, or that designer didn't have a clue as to what works in the real world. That business owner didn't know how to pick good design from bad design. Maybe they just didn't have the budget to hire good designers. And in some situations, that may be the case, but it's not always the situation. Why? Because sometimes the really ugly products sell extremely well. Sometimes the website that gets the most clicks or has the most traffic, gets the most lead conversions, isn't beautiful, it's sort of garish. The reason is because design is about communication. When you boil it all down and you get to its core, design is about communicating a specific idea to a specific audience. And sometimes what may be deemed as ugly by the design community or just people with a certain level of taste is what works better. So years ago, we had this cool little feature on our website that had these banners that would showcase the case studies that we did. And when you moused over it with your finger, you would see a little animation fire off and maybe some color changes. They were very cool. And it very clearly indicated, okay, user, your job is to interact here. However, when I looked at what was happening with our traction, people weren't going to those pages, and I had no idea why. I went back and looked at screen recordings that we'd done, and I was discovering that while people were interacting with the element, they were having fun mousing over a bunch of times, right? Like over and over and over again. It was sort of crazy. Just couldn't stop wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggling it, wiggle, 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 wiggle. But what we saw was, even though they did that, they didn't go in deeper. So, a little bit out of spite, I said, well, I'll show you. I'll put a big click here button. Let's see what happens then. And what did happen? 75% increase of traffic onto those pages. The user knew they could interact with it, but they didn't know why they were supposed to interact with it. I was failing as a designer. My job was to communicate, hey, go further, go deeper, and I wasn't doing it. I just gave them something fun to mess around with. You know, having done this for about 22 years now, very often I'll see designers come up with these really slick concepts, right? The text is really small, maybe it's very light gray, a font is tiny, very thin, the headers are small, the navigation or the menu is very obtuse, 0, 2, 8, or maybe a little icon, something like that. When they show it off to their friends, when they put it on Dribbble or they put it on Behance or they put it on Twitter, they get a lot of thumbs up. Everybody's saying, hey, that's a good job. But when they roll those things out to users, they don't get the traction. They don't get the benefit of actually moving things forward for their client. Why is that the case? Because they're not communicating effectively what they need to do. They're making users burn too many calories to figure out what the hell is going on. Nobody wants to go and mouse on top of a menu 6 times just to figure out where the about page is, just to figure out how to contact you. Telling them contact is way easier. In fact, telling them give me a call is even better than that. Sure, it's not slick, it's not fun, it's not sexy, but it works. You know, one of the perfect examples of this is if you go to Walmart or you go to Target or whatever your favorite grocery store is, and you go to the sunblock aisle and you look at that aisle and you're going to see a lot of different products, right? And you're going to see some that are really slick. They're going to be in nice little boxes, maybe dark navy or dark gray with a cool texture on them. They're going to have the word BLOK in silver letterpressed font on it, right? All caps, really spaced far apart. You're not even going to know really what the product does, but it's going to look really sexy. Oh, and if you look at the price tag, it's $45. And right next to it, on the same shelf, you're gonna see something that's not in a box, it's not sexy, it's bright orange, it's got a pump top on the top, it says no burns, NOBURNZ, exclamation mark. And if you go and look and see which product's getting the most traction, which one's getting the more purchases, it's no burns. It's not the sleek, sexy PCC, it's the fact that this other product communicates to an audience exactly what they need, and that audience is also thinking, hey, I just want to have sunblock, and this sunblock is cheap. So the fact that it's using certain kind of colors, orange, yellow, big, huge, bold, what we may consider a garish font, using exclamation points and the letter Z, things like that. That communicates to a user, hey, this isn't too sophisticated of a product. So the consumer knows that they're going to get something awesome, and it's going to do the job, because it says no burns, and because of the design of the packaging, they know it's not going to cost them an arm and a leg. So yeah, again, on Q and Answers, I'm talking about how you need to know your box, your constraints of your project, and you need to know who your target demographic is and make sure that it's working for the user. Don't obfuscate a message just because it looks cool or it feels neat. Sometimes saying call me now is exactly the right thing to do. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Q and Answers. If you ever have any questions about design, if you ever wants to help you out on a project, you want to get something moving along, you know what to do. You can give us a call, or you can shoot us an email and we'll get right back to you. With that, my name is Q Manning. This has been Q and Answers. Adios.